Let's go straight out to Natisha Lance, live in Orlando. Nancy Grace, producer, you were in the courtroom today. This was a very important hearing today. What did you see?
Very important hearing today, Jean. Well, the judge did allow for the autopsy report to be released today. George Anthony gave testimony, very emotional testimony, as we heard in that open. He was asking for the judge not to release the autopsy report, saying that the memory of Caylee is all that their family has left, and please do her this dignity. Now, Judge Sam Strickland was very torn about his decision. He said it wasn't a decision that he wanted to make, but based on law, he had to make this decision. I sat right behind George and Cindy Anthony. Both of them were very emotional. George Anthony seemed very anxious right before he went up to give his testimony. Cindy Anthony, while he was giving his testimony, had her head down in her hand. Her other hand was shaking, and she was just shaking her head. And before court was actually adjourned, George Anthony had to leave the room. He seemed visibly upset by the decision.
You know, Natisha, I noticed he had a picture of Caylee with him in a frame. There it is right there. You saw that?
He did. He did. He had that picture and he was rubbing it, and he kept looking down at her face. Cindy was trying to comfort him as much as she could. They also were wearing those Caylee Anthony buttons. And I spoke to Brad Conway after court today, and what he said that he was upset and sad for his clients, but he did hope that by the release of this autopsy report that it would end some of the media speculation that has been going on and clear a few things up.
And this was a legal hearing. The result was the autopsy report was released. Hours after that, it was made public. Let's go to Kathy Bellish, reporter of CNN affiliate WFTV. Kathy, you've been on this case from the very beginning. You've read the autopsy report. Give us your highlights.
Well, I think the most damning information that came out of this autopsy report was that there were several layers of duct tape that were placed over the mouth and jaw area of Caylee. They were found there, stretched across to her hair on both sides. Our legal analyst believes that that shows that it wasn't an afterthought, that it was possibly to quiet her or to stop her from breathing. We also saw that the experts performed tests on pizza and even a dead squirrel to see if they would show results that they found in the trunk of Casey's car, and that turned out not to be a similar situation at all.
To Dr. Michael Bell, Palm Beach County Chief Medical Examiner, you perform autopsies for a living. Normally in autopsy reports, and I've read a lot of them, there are external findings, there are internal findings of the organs in the body. Here you didn't have that. You had simply bones, you had some hair, and you had some duct tape. What are your thoughts after reading this autopsy report?
Well, you're absolutely correct. There is no external or internal findings because all you have is a skeleton, as well as whatever was found with the skeleton. That includes the duct tape, which was placed over the child's mouth and held the mandible, the jawbone, to the skull so that animals could not normally separate it. So therefore, the tape had to have been placed in that position prior to the breakdown or decomposition of the body.
And I think that's one of the remarkable things from this autopsy report is that bones were scattered all over that wooded area, but the skull remained intact, it said, because of the duct tape that covered it and covered the hair.